The Human Security Officer Part 10. No, Plur, have it stand there and pick the... I'm telling you, that won't work. The third arm is faulty, remember? It won't be able to. Yes, it will. I'm looking at it. It won't. It will. Fine. The loading frame, a sturdy robotic device, shifted to the side of the containment unit and clamped onto its supports. As it attempted to shift the weight, however, a grinding sound erupted from the socket of its third arm. The grip released, and without the support of all three arms, the energy cells slammed back down onto the floor with a resounding clang. Don't say it, Plur warned, crossing its arms in frustration. But I did tell you, SM replied, her voice tinged with irritation. SM fell silent, frowning at the now toppled energy cells. Well, I thought it would be okay. How was I supposed to know it would mess up? Just then, a large shadow passed over her, drawing her attention away from the mishap. You guys need any help? A human voice called out. SM instinctively took a step back, momentarily taken aback by the human's towering presence. Deeg had made it clear to the crew that direct eye contact and attention from humans weren't signs of aggression, but it was still unnerving to be under the gaze of such a large being. The human had a different appearance from the ones they had previously encountered. Maybe that was a good sign. Plur glanced up at the human, who had only two thick appendages to stand on, making it clear how the human was capable of standing upright. Well, we're trying to move these energy cells, but the loading bot has enough trouble with their weight as it is. Its third arm has a malfunction, Plur explained, its voice trailing off as it noticed the human's distracted expression. Yeah, the thing messed up a socket or something when loading them, SM added, trying to regain her focus. Gotcha, the human replied, glancing from the two crew members to the robot, then back again. SM frowned. What does gotcha mean? The human chuckled lightly, as if surprised. Oh, it's a mashup of the words got in ya, meaning I understand. I can help move these if the frame is having trouble. They're pretty heavy, SM warned. I mean, the bot's built for this kind of thing, and even it. Before she could finish, the human stepped closer to the unit, gripping its top with one hand. With effortless strength, the human tipped the unit upright, crouched down, and placed their other hand underneath it. Lifting it onto their shoulder, the human looked down at SM and Plur. Where do you need it? They asked, an encouraging smile on their face. SM stared blankly for a moment, struggling to process the scene before her. Over here, she finally said, gesturing toward another set of containment units closer to the bay door. Plur waddled over to assist, still in shock at the ease with which the human had lifted the unit. The human followed, stacking it on top of another with impressive finesse. Would you be able to get the rest of these? SM asked, her voice rising with hope. Sure, the human replied, enthusiasm evident in their tone. Within minutes, the bay crew had gathered to watch the spectacle. Penelope, the human, didn't particularly like crowds, but there was something exhilarating about showing off her strength. As she hoisted one of the units above her head, performing a few reps while walking it over, a wave of laughter and cheers erupted from the crew. With another unit, she did a few squats before placing it back down, delighting the onlookers. What's the heaviest thing you've lifted? One of the crew members asked as she set the final unit down. Well, that depends, Penelope replied thoughtfully. I was once on a battleship where a buddy got trapped under some debris. I don't know exactly how heavy it was, but I nearly cracked a tooth trying to lift it. In normal conditions, I'm not sure I'd be able to lift one of these, she added, tapping the metal casing of the unit. The crew collectively recoiled at her mention of normal conditions, recalling the challenges they faced just a day prior. "Why'd you almost crack a tooth?" another crew member inquired, eyeing Penelope's mouth warily. "I was clenching my jaw too hard. With all the adrenaline pumping, I didn't even notice." "I'm sure most species have something similar, right? In tense situations, our bodies react to help us escape danger." "Modans don't," a small, plump alien chimed in, shaking its head. "Well, my people do," Penelope replied, "but it's more for running than lifting heavy objects." "Is that a common concern in your species' history?" "Not exactly," SM answered. "Strictly speaking, it makes us stronger and dulls pain so we can fend off threats more effectively." "So, inadvertently, yes, it helps with lifting heavy objects. But it also aids in running if fighting isn't an option. I mean, no matter how strong you are, a bear is still a bear." "A bear?" another crew member asked, clearly curious. Penelope chuckled, preparing to describe the creature. "Well, bears vary in size, but generally speaking, imagine something 2 or 3 times my size, 4 times my weight, and 5 times as strong. They have thick, furry hides that can withstand knives and such. And if you're close enough to stab one, you're already in serious trouble because they have massive claws and teeth. But with that size, they must be pretty slow, right?" another member questioned. "Oh no, they're astonishingly fast. Powerful legs and all that weight generate incredible momentum once they get going. They're also excellent climbers, so hiding up a tree isn't a safe option," Penelope explained, her enthusiasm growing. The gathered crowd seemed stunned into silence, processing the information with wide eyes. "How are your people even alive?" one asked, their voice laced with disbelief. "Well, they're generally not aggressive towards humans. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone, for the most part. Unless one is starving, there are far easier meals than a human. Just avoid them and definitely don't threaten their cubs. That's a guaranteed death warrant, as they will go out of their way to protect their young," Penelope replied, her tone shifting to one of seriousness. "They sound terrifying," a crew member remarked, shivering slightly. "Honestly, they're kind of cute," Penelope said, a smile creeping onto her face. "Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't go within a kilometer of one, but they have these little ears, and sometimes they sit on their haunches like people. It's adorable." She mimicked the gesture, pinching her fingers together as if to emphasize the bear's cuteness. The crew exchanged horrified glances, clearly unsure about Penelope's definition of cute. Yet despite their misgivings, they were all captivated by her stories. As the conversation continued, the atmosphere lightened, filled with laughter and wonder at the strange wildlife of Earth. Questions flowed freely, ranging from bizarre animals to odd human habits. Suddenly, one of the doors slid open, and in its frame stood their captain, Deeg. "Pen, we'll be exiting FTL shortly," he announced. "Understood," Penelope replied, realizing only then that she had been sitting on the floor with the rest of the crew. She got up, brushing herself off as she made her way to Deeg, who was already moving toward the bridge. "I see you're getting to know the crew?" Deeg grinned, if you could call it that. "A little, yeah. I was telling them about bears," Penelope replied, her excitement still bubbling. "You'll have to regale me with those stories sometime as well. Tunny T was just telling me about the differences in how our two species sleep," Deeg said, his curiosity piqued. "I'd be happy to. Interestingly enough, bears have a unique way of resting, too. But another time, are we expecting anything as we drop out of FTL here?" Penelope's expression shifted from lighthearted to serious. "Not particularly. We're only one jump away from a fairly significant trade station. We'll be stopping there. The deal is strictly for the energy cells, but new colonies always need various resources. They'll be eager to buy other things if we have them. We also need to get that poor loader bot fixed. We hired you for security, not for loading cargo. I'm sure it's not exactly what you had in mind when you came aboard, Deeg explained. I honestly don't mind, Penelope replied, shrugging her shoulders. This is all pretty simple stuff compared to what I'm used to. Deeg hesitated, wanting to ask her what she meant by compared to what, but he held back, sensing it was better to let it go for now. I appreciate it, but we should still get the frame fixed, he said instead, refocusing on the task at hand. The two of them walked onto the bridge, where Gareth was already at his station. As Deeg took his seat, Penelope adjusted the displays to her height, ensuring everything was in order for their next move. As the ship dropped out of FTL, several signals appeared on the scanners. Other freighters were visible on the far side of the system, along with the Tinsna patrol. No odd signals or derelict ships this time, Captain, Penelope relayed, her tone steady. Thank the Lumine, Gareth remarked, grooming his frills with a flick of his fingers. Oh, don't be like that, Gareth, Deeg laughed. Ping the Tinsna patrol and let them know what we're about. Then bring us to the jump point. Already transmitted our information, moving us to the jump coordinates, Gareth responded, a hint of his usual grumpiness lingering in his voice. Tinsna patrol transmitting an all clear. We're good to go, Penelope called out, her excitement building as they prepared for the next leg of their journey. Excellent, Deeg said, leaning back in his chair as the ship maneuvered smoothly through the stars. It took only a few minutes on the sublight engines to reach their position. In a flash, they were back into FTL travel, the stars outside becoming a blur as they hurtled through the vastness of space. As the journey continued, Penelope settled into her role aboard the ship. She found herself enjoying the camaraderie of the crew and the thrilling unpredictability of space travel. Her stories of Earth became a regular feature during their downtime, creating a bond between her and the crew that felt almost familial. Every tale of bears, strange Earth customs, and human resilience sparked curiosity and laughter, easing the initial apprehensions about her presence. She also learned about the crew's own backgrounds, their cultures, and the unique challenges they faced in their own worlds. As they approached the trade station, Penelope looked out at the incoming destination, feeling a sense of adventure wash over her. She knew this journey was only the beginning, and she was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead.